In the latter half of the 20th century, there was a sociologist at UCLA named Dr. Albert Mehrabian who studied this empirically. And he determined through scientific experimentation with people that between the full gamut of how you can communicate with another person, your words, the tone of your voice, and your body language, and for the purposes of his experiment, he didn't separate body language and facial expressions. He just called it all body language together, tone of voice, and your words. What would you say the percentage impact of your words are when communicating with somebody? So think about that. Say a politician's giving a speech, and we print speeches in books for posterity to read. People read speeches. Oh, those are very important words. People write their speeches. They spend a lot of intent and put a lot of energy into creating their content, crafting it, whether it's to talk to an employee or go home and talk to their family. I'm a writer. I put a lot of effort into words. So if you have words and the tone of your voice and your body language, all three to communicate with somebody, what would you say the percentage impact of your words is? Do you think it's 90%? That speech is what the speech is, more important than how it's delivered? Do you say, oh, I kind of get it, okay. One politician can be very firm and engaging in delivering that speech, and another one very nervous and not engaging. So maybe 50% words, 50% body language and delivery container. Or maybe you say to yourself, hey, I've been in an argument with a friend or a spouse or a colleague, and boy, they said something, but it was how they said it. They yelled at me and they pointed their finger. And even though what they said was, yeah, sure, I really got a totally different feeling. Maybe it's 25%. What would you say if I told you that the percentage impact of your words when communicating with somebody is 7%? 7% of the impact you make on another person when speaking to them is through the words you actually speak, that content. The other 93% is what we call non-linguistic or non-verbal communication. The tone of your voice, eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, body language. 93%. That means how you say what you have to say lands with 14 times more impact than your words themselves. Now that's the empirical evidence around the power of your physical presence, the power of your container to make people feel something about what you have to say or what you have to do. Non-empirically, anecdotally, based on my observation of clients and people in the world and doing this work for so many years, is that most people, most of the time, while they may be very intentional about what they're going to say or what they're going to do, put almost no intent into how they say it or how they do it. They're almost completely unintentional about their container. In fact, they are almost wholly unaware of their container. So if we're not being intentional about the 93% of our communicative impact that happens when we talk to somebody, what is driving that? Your context, your thoughts and feelings about yourself and the world. But if you're also not being intentional about your context, if you're not walking into a situation saying, I am choosing to think and feel this about myself and the world, and through that choice, create the content that I want to create in the container that I want to create. If you're not being intentional about that, if you're not even aware of what you're thinking and feeling about yourself in the moment, well, then what's driving your context? The events around you. Events in the immediacy around you. Somebody came into your office yelling and that got inside you and created energy and created emotion and caused your context to go defensive and it came out through your body as defensive. Or you got a letter in the mail that said you owed money and that changed your context, how you think and feel about yourself in the day. And that came through your body in a different way. Or you got good news or you got bad news. Whatever it is, we're not just leaving the powerful impact of our container off the table. We're not even just leaving it to chance. We're leaving it to whatever the external influences of the moment are, to whatever somebody else's energy is that they're bringing at us, to whatever the events are that are going around us, to all the external influences of our life, moment by moment. We are abdicating our own authority over our context and container. We're letting events happen that get inside us and create emotion and create thoughts filtered through the lens of our historical emotion and thoughts, our historical context that creates energy that comes out through our body however it would and has an impact on people, that creates our path through life. Like the example I used of where I could have gone at the airport. Your context, how you think and feel, drives your content, what you say and do, and your container, how you say and do it. And you have a choice. You can either allow your historical context based on the past that created the filter of how you see yourself in the world, that filters every event and person that comes at you to drive your thoughts and feelings in the moment, which drive what you say and do in the moment and are supported or undermined by the container that you express them in. And if that's not effective, then just suffer the consequences and explain them away and go defend your barrier, or you can become intentional about it. You can choose to change your lens on the past, change your lens on yourself, change your lens on every situation as it comes at you. Be intentional about your thoughts and feelings, and then intentional about your words and actions, and intentional about the container in which you deliver them. Now, you may be thinking that the exercise for this section, for this video, is going to be to go back to those last two lists that you made and assess your container during the day. We assessed your context during the day. We assessed your content during the day. It would make sense. Go back and assess your container during the day. The problem with that is we are unintentional and unaware of our containers. Most of the time, most people do not know what their body is doing, do not know what their voice is doing, do not know what their eyes are doing, don't even know what their arms are doing. People sit in a meeting with their arms crossed, don't realize they've crossed their arms, roll their eyes, pinch their brow, touch their face, make gestures, have their voice get high-low. They don't realize it. So you have a different exercise to assess your container. This one's going to take a day to get through. The next time you can, I want you to set up your phone on video to record you for a couple of hours while you're going about your day. At your office, that might look like just taking your phone, putting it on your computer, facing the camera towards you, hitting record. Early on, you're going to be aware of it. You're going to know it's there. You're going to kind of look at yourself and feel awkward and not really like it. I know you're probably already feeling awkward. You don't know how many clients I've had who resist this so much that I don't feel comfortable on camera. This is you alone making a video of yourself. You don't need to show it to anybody. I know that it's awkward to do it. Take it as an opportunity to do something that feels uncomfortable, because as you move forward with the FAST way, you're going to be doing more things that feel uncomfortable in order to create new results in your life. So take this as an opportunity to do something that feels uncomfortable, but also to learn about your container. If you're in your car driving a lot, maybe you can get a little way to mount it on your dash and film yourself. If you're at home, maybe you can put your camera on a shelf and film yourself. Film yourself for a few hours during the day until you forget that it's there. So you're just on the phone doing whatever it is you're doing. If other people are there, let them know at the beginning, there's a camera here. It's just for me. Tell them you're taking the FAST way and why you're doing it. But film yourself for a couple hours during the day until you forget that it's there. And then at the end, go back and watch it. And then write down what your container did, what your voice did that you weren't aware of, what your face did that you weren't aware of, what your body did that you weren't aware of. To start to understand just how much our bodies and faces and voices, how much our containers, our physical presence behaves beyond our awareness. So you can start seeing that the same way we see our barriers and take some control and mastery over it. All right, so that's your exercise. And after you have that video, come back and watch the next one from me, where we'll talk about how important your container is when you're not speaking.